Thank you.
I had typed it up. I had typed it up, but I left it at home. But that's.
No, it's plastic also.
That's what I was saying. This was this now?
I thought it was just.
No. I got the wrong one.
Afraid of Shmuel. I have it.
You have it.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Rabbi Shmuel.
You got it?
All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin. So today's daf, we have a beautiful daf ahead of us. Today's daf is daf Ches. We are picking up from Zayin Amud Beis, 3 lines up from the bottom. So first of all, our shir is dedicated by Ira and Miriam Grossman. Ira unfortunately lost his mother over Shabbos. The Levi is today, so we dedicate our learning. The Ili Nishmas Ira's mother, Freda Bas Shmuel, as well as in the Schus of the Neshama for Eliezer ben Kolonimos. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, the Neshamas have an Aliyah and the families in the Chabad. So we'll say, so let's begin. So lo sakiru panim b'mishpat. So 3 lines up from the bottom. Literally, you shall not recognize a face in judgment. So what does this mean? So the Pashtus, the Torah is teaching us that one is not supposed to favor one of the litigants over the other in delivering judgment. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, lo sakireu. Rabbi Yehuda says, if you look at Rashi, 2nd line up from the bottom, lo sakireu imru ohavecha. If one of the litigants happens to be someone who is a friend of yours, then ultimately, again, do not favor him in judgment. Rabbi Elazar Omer, lo sinachrehu. Rabbi Elazar says literally, not lo sakirehu, but lo sinachrehu, which means don't estrange him. What does that mean? Look at Rashi again. Lo sinachrehu, imru son acha, salo kinochri lechaybo. Even if he's someone, again, whom you dislike immensely, do not go ahead and take out that anger or that animosity upon him when passing judgment. So we'll say, so 2 different drushes, but the same idea. Lo sakiru panim b'mishpat, either don't favor, don't put at a disadvantage. But the idea being that the Torah is teaching us that one has to go ahead and give each of the litigants equal footing for judgment. So the Gemara goes weiter. Ushbezichni derav is actually an interesting case. So Ushbezichni derav means literally the host of Rav. In other words, one time Rav stayed somewhere, so his host Ushbezichni derav asale kamei ladina came before Rav for din. So the Gemara says, Amar lo lav ushbezichni at. So the litigant says to Rav, do you not remember that time you stayed by me? In other words, if you look at Rashi, he says, I'm just saying, don't you remember that time that you stayed by me and I did you that incredible chesed, I took you in? Amar lo in. Rav says, yes, of course I remember. Amar le dina isli. So the man said, oh, by the way, now that you remember that, I happen to have a din Torah that I would appreciate your help with. Amar le, to which Rav responded, Tap of ches, pasulma v'chaladina. Rav said, I'm sorry, I cannot go ahead and paskin halacha for you. Rashi says, where pasulma v'cha, she's kartani tovasecha. Now that you brought up that nice favor, that nice tova that I did for you, I cannot adjudicate your case. Amrli Rav l'Rav Kahana, pok daine. So Rav said to Rav Kahana, listen, Rav recuses himself from this particular din Torah, and he says to Rav Kahana, would you mind adjudicating this case? Chazye dahavaka go'isbei. So Rav Kahana noticed that this litigant, this guy, was acting in a very gaivadik manner. Why? Because this guy felt that he kind of had this in the bag. Meaning he felt, here he is, he's Rav's buddy, right? He's Rav's buddy, he's now gone ahead and given over. This Rav is now delegated this responsibility to Rav Kahana. But the guy feels that it's clear Rav Kahana is going to paskin in his favor because he's Rav's friend. See, Rav Kahana felt that this man was conducting himself in a gaivadik way. Amarle, itzaisa. If you're going to listen to me, then you'll listen to me. V'ilo, but if you're not going to listen to me, mafikna lecha Rav me'oncha. I will remove Rav's ability to help you in any way. What does that mean? Look at Rashi. 2nd line was it from the top. Last one line. Mafikna lecha Rav me'oncha. Odiacha, I will tell you, she'en Rav yachal l'sayecha. Rav, I will do something to you that Rav will not be able to help you. That shamtina lecha. I'll put you in shamta. I'll excommunicate you. So again, if you think that you can act like a Baal Gaiva, because one time you hosted Rav, and you think, therefore, again, I'm going to pass it in your favor. Let me be clear. If I have to excommunicate you and therefore remove Rav's ability to help you in any way, I will do so. The Gemara goes right to so remember, the pasuk says, so we'll say, remember, we're just darshaning this pasuk in its entirety. First, do not recognize someone. Literally, do not favor someone when delivering din. And then the pasuk goes on, kakaton kagadol tishmon. Then literally, like the katan, like the gadol, you shall listen. Amrei Shlakish sheichavim alecha din shel pruta kedin shel meah. So Shlakish said it teaches you that a din, right, literally a judgment concerning a pruta, should be literally chavlach was just as important upon you as a din of 100 mana. In other words, pruta obviously is a very small amount. 100 mana, very significant amount. So what does that mean? If you want to tell me that what it means is that a person, the judge, has to investigate the claim before delivering a verdict. In other words, whether the din is on a pruta or whether the din is on mea mames. So if telling me the judge can't just rush the judgment, he has to investigate the claim. Pshita. Well, it's obvious. The judge has to go ahead and we've already saw in yesterday's daf, deliberate on every psak din before it's delivered. Elo lak dume. Rather, we'll say what it means is the following. Look at Rashi. Last of the wide lines on top, like Dume, in Balafanecha din shel pruta, the chazer ubad din acher shamana hakodem lefanecha hektim lachtoch. The idea we'll say is that a judge is obligated to go ahead and adjudicate the cases in the order which they come in. So, for example, let's say a dayan has first in the docket a din Torah regarding a pruta, and then a few minutes later another din Torah comes in for 100 mana, which is a much more high-profile case. You have to adjudicate the cases as they come in. We will see that under normal circumstances, a dayan is not permitted to go ahead and change the order of the way the cases came in the docket. We're going to see there is one exception to this. An exception to this is if the melech comes for din. If the king comes for din, so the halacha is part of kavod malchus, is the king doesn't wait. The king's case, but leaving aside the king, you judge the cases as they come in, even if quote one is more high profile than the next. Lo sagurim mipnei ish. Do not go ahead and be afraid of any man. So the Gemara says, Amram Chanan al tachnis devarecha mipnei ish. So also we already learned this before. Literally, do not withhold your words in front of another person. Which I will say we darshan already to mean that's what? That even if a Talmud is sitting before his Rebbe, and the Rebbe is living a psak halacha, the Talmud feels that the Rebbe is mistaken, the Talmud should speak up in order not to create of justice. Because mishpat ultimately belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, judgment belongs to God. What does that mean? This is a very profound Gemara. It's not enough. Kadosh Baruch Hu says it's not bad enough that the Rishonim, the wicked, one and give to this one illegally. But rather, again, they're matriach me. They cause me the exertion of having to return the money ultimately to the original owner. So what does this mean? So when a person commits an aveira, they disrupt universal equilibrium. Then it becomes HaKadosh Baruch Hu's responsibility, so to speak, to restore universal equilibrium. So if I steal money from Reuven and give it to Shimon, so if that money really belongs to Reuven, the Yibam Shalom has to restore equilibrium and get that money back to Shimon. So it's not only bad enough that the individual, the Ganav, takes money from one and gives it to the other, but they're matriach, so to speak. They cause HaKadosh Baruch Hu additional exertion by having to restore that equilibrium. Okay. So the pasuk says again, and that which is difficult for you, takrivun olayu shmativ. So remember again, this is Moshe Rabbeinu speaking, and Moshe Rabbeinu talking about the system of dayanim that was created, and the idea being that at first the cases should be adjudicated by quote unquote lower level dayanim, and anything that cannot be accomplished or cannot be adjudicated on the lower levels, Moshe Rabbeinu says you can bring to me, and I'll go ahead and take care of it. All right, Chanina, v'yitim Rabbi Yoshia. Al davar ze ne'anash Moshe. For this statement, Moshe Rabbeinu was punished. Now, say, what did Moshe Rabbeinu do wrong? Take a look at Rashi. Al davar ze shenatal sror li atzmo lomar takrivun elai shahel lomar takrivun lifnei hashchina. Moshe Rabbeinu says, anything that's difficult for you, bring to me. So Gemara feels that was a statement of gaiva. It was arrogant. Moshe Rabbeinu should have said, anything that's difficult for you, we'll bring before the Shekhinah. You'll bring before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it's just takrivon olai. So because he made that statement of gaiva, Moshe Rabbeinu was punished. What happened to Moshe Rabbeinu? What was the punishment? Shneimar, Vayakrev Moshe's mishpatan b'fnei Hashem. That's Pasik's parasha. That the pasuk says that Pasik's parasha that Moshe Rabbeinu brought their mishpat b'nos tzlafchad. Moshe Rabbeinu brought their mishpat before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, that there was this episode that came up with b'nos tzlafchad. Remember again, father dies, find no sons. They come to Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the story with the nachla? What's the story with the inheritance? Moshe Rabbeinu does not know the answer, has to bring it before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Gemara is saying over here that Moshe Rabbeinu made a statement of gaiva, which indicated that he had the answers. His punishment was that a case came before him for which he did not have the answers, and it had to be brought before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Maskef Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. So Rav Nachman is the kasha. Miksiv v'ashmiachem. So Nachman Bar Yitzchak kind of argues on behalf of Moshe Rabbeinu. He says, does Moshe Rabbeinu say v'ashmiachem? Does Moshe Rabbeinu say, bring the case before me, and I will make heard the psak halacha? In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu was not saying that bring it to me, I'll tell you the answer. Ushmativ. Ushmativ, Rabosai means I'll listen to it. I'll listen to it means I'll hear what you have to say, and together we'll investigate what the answer is. In other words, had Moshe Rabbeinu said, "V'chol hadavar v'hadavar sheyikshe mikem takrivun alai v'ashmiachem," would mean bring to me, and I will make known to you the answer. But that's not what Moshe Rabbeinu says. Moshe Rabbeinu says, whatever is difficult for you, bring to me, ushmativ, and I'll listen. I don't know if I have the answer, but let's see, we'll try to figure it out together. So the Gemara says the following, ushmativ, gamirna. If I know the answer, I'll give you the answer. If I don't know the answer, I will go and I'll ask Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I'll learn the answer. So we'll say, so therefore again, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak fundamentally disagrees with the first approach and feels that Moshe Rabbeinu's statement was not a statement of gaiva. If Moshe Rabbeinu's statement was not a statement of gaiva, then why is it that he did not know the answer to Bnos Tzlafchad's question? In other words, seemingly, the Gemara seems to feel that the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu did not know the answer to Bnos Tzlafchad's question seems to indicate that something's up over here. Something's a bit different. So what's the pshat? So the Gemara says the following: in reality, the entire parasha of Nachalos, the laws of inheritance, should have been proactively written by Moshe Rabbeinu. In other words, we'll say that it shouldn't have been that it was the episode of Tzlafchad that triggered the need to learn these halachos concerning inheritance. Rather, this parasha of the Torah should have been written by Moshe Rabbeinu proactively, much in the same way that most of the Torah is given over by Moshe Rabbeinu proactively. Ella shezachu b'nos tzlafchad v'nichtav al yadan. Rather, again, b'nos tzlafchad narrative that this section of inheritance be written through them. So therefore, Rabbi said ultimately, again, the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't know the answer to the question of Nachala b'nos tzlafchad was not a sign of Moshe Rabbeinu having too much gaiva when it came to his knowing of judgment, but rather, again, it was a schus from Bnos Tzlafchad that because, again, like Rashi brings down in the passage, because they're chibas haaretz, because of Eretz Yisrael, they were privileged to have the parasha of Nachla written through their question. Similarly, Ru'uya Haisa Parshas Makoshesh Sheti Kasei Vayidei Moshe Rabbeinu. Similarly, again, the episode of the Makoshesh. Remember, again, Makoshesh was the individual who gathered wood on Shabbos. He publicly desecrated Shabbos. So remember, again, after his act of Chol Shabbos, so the Torah says that Moshe Rabbeinu did not know what to do with him. Why? So why did this happen this way? So really, the halachos concerning Chol Shabbos should have been proactively given over through Moshe Rabbeinu. So why is it that it was reactively given through the episode of the Makoshesh? Ella sheneschayev Makoshesh b'nichtava al yado. Rather, again, it was because that the Makoshesh was found to be liable and culpable. Therefore, again, the halachos of Chil Shabbos were given through him. What's the principle that the Torah is teaching us? Lamdecha shemagalgalin chova al yidei chayiv uzuchus al yidei zakai. We'll say to teach us a very important lesson. That the Ribono Shel Olam brings about good things through good people and negative things through bad people. The idea being, I will say that ultimately, again, the act, not only is there a level of responsibility for what it is that we do directly, but there's a certain level of responsibility for that which occurs through us, even indirectly as well. So when good things happen through me, that's a sign of divine pleasure. When bad things happen through me, that's a sign of divine displeasure as well. Finally, Gemara goes back to Ksiv. Pasuk says, so the pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu says, I commanded your judges at that time. Uksiv, and the next pasuk says, I commanded you at that time. Now, we'll see, look at Rashi for just a moment. Ksiv atzaveh shoftechem, mashmos chachameihem hisir lahadrich tzipor b'mishpat v'achukim al karcham. Uksiv atzaveh eschem, the tzipor atzmam hisir. So we'll say what the Gemara is contrasting with is the fact. In the first passage, it seems to indicate that the shoftim are being charged with the authority to lead the people. In the second passage, it seems to be everyone's being commanded together. So which one is it? Well, so this is actually amazing. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Smaloi. Tzibor shetehei emas dayon aleim. So we'll say when it says va'atzaveh eschem ba'isahi, that's teaching us that the tzibor is obligated to have respect and reverence for the dayon, va'ashara ledayon sheyispal esat tzibor, and it's the obligation upon the dayon to be patient with the tzibor. So it says an incredible yisod. In other words, in order for the judicial system to work, there has to be a mutual respect, really a mutual reverence, right? The tzibor has to respect the dayonim, and the dayonim have to know how to tolerate the people. We need to tolerate the people. So again, we don't need much Rashi on this. We understand that sometimes people can be exceptionally difficult, especially when it comes to Dinei Torah, when it comes to Machlokes. So the Dayan has to have the patience to be able to deal with all kinds of people. So the Gemara will say, listen to this, Shaila. Ad Kama, how much patience does a Dayan have to have? And I understand it's not just Dayanim. We're going to see that this is going to be important in a leadership context as well. How much patience does a leader have to have for the tzibor? Amram Chanan Vitim Rab Shabsin Kashayisa Haomen Esayonik. A leader has to have as much patience for the tzibor like a mother has for her nursing child. The same way that as many times as the child cries and wants to eat, the mother never says, enough already. Right? Enough already. You just ate. What's the problem? Right? But the mother is there for the child no matter what it is that the child wants. So the patience that a leader, that a dayan has to have for the tzibur abosai is that same level of patience. Just like a mother carrying around the nursing child. Ksiv kiato savo, uksiv kiato sovi. So it's another contrast of psukim. So this is Moshe Rabbeinu speaking to Yoshua. The first time the pasuk says ki ato savo esam. So we'll say, look at Rashi. Rashi says savo esam mashma gam ato ke'echamehem. So we'll say ato savo esam means you will come with the nation. In other words, the Moshe Rabbeinu is grouping Yoshua together with the people, and then it says ki ato savi, you will bring the people, which also indicates that what Yoshua is the leader, the people are the followers. So which one is it? So Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Moshe Yoshua. Moshe said to Yoshua, "Ata vaskim shevet orid moed." This. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, Moshe says to Yoshua, "Listen, the best thing you could do is lead together with the Zikanim. Lead together with the Zikanim. Create a leadership model of collaboration. There's the Zikanim. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, Moshe Amar lo Zikanim shevet orid moed al piyem aseh ma'aseh v'lo tistar aleihem." To ultimately, again, collaborate with them and do not go ahead and try to rule over them. So Rosh Hashanah disagrees with Moshe and says, Tol makel v'hach al kad kadam. Go ahead and take a staff. There's hit the Zikanim over the head. Now, what does that mean? Daber echad ladar ve'ein shnei dabar ladar. There's literally one daber is a spokesman. There's one spokesman for the generation. There are not two spokesmen for the generations. Both say, what you see over here, by the way, is a fascinating discussion about apparently the machlokas between Moshe Rabbeinu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu in leadership models. Moshe then was advocating for Yoshua to engage in a more collaborative leadership model. Collaborate with the Zikanim, right? Lead together, and together and listen, Yoshua, you're young, the Zikanim are more seasoned, you'll take their advice, you'll lead together. Don't try to assert yourself over the Zikanim, but rather partner with the Zikanim. The Rebbe Shalom says, no, there's one leader. There's one leader. And Yoshua, what you need to do is you need to assert your authority over them from the beginning. Now, does Baruch mean to tell Yoshua that he shouldn't listen to the Zikanim, that he shouldn't take advice? Of course not. But what he's saying is you're not their partner. You're not their partner. You're their leader. And if you don't establish yourself as the leader who's open to advice, the leader who's open to adracha, the leader who's open to ideas, to suggestions, but at the end of the day, daber echad l'tor. There is one leader of the generation. There's one spokesman. There's one mouthpiece. Everyone else can offer their advice, but one person has to move the agenda forward. It's incredible. Machlokes in Moshe Rabbeinu and the Ribbon Shalom. Good. Come on, goes weiter. Tana. So we'll say the Gemara now switches gears a little bit. Zimun b'shlosha. So the Gemara says Zimun is done with 3 people. What does that mean? What do you think about Zimun is with 3 people? Ilema birkas Zimun. If you want to say, we'll say that it means like benching. Vatanya. Zimun ubirkas in Shlosha. The Brisa says that Zimun and Birchas Zimun are both done with 3. So we'll say that indicates to us that what? That Zimun and Birchas Zimun are what? 2 different things. So the Gemara says, maybe you'll say that in fact it's one thing, but the Brisa is just coming to explain itself. My Zimun, what does Zimun mean? Birchas Zimun. That can't be about time we learned in our Brisa. Zimun b'shlosha. So we'll say this price is even more explicit. It's clearly breaking this up into 2 different things. Zimun is done with 3. Birkas Zimun is done with 3. So the Gemara says, Elamai Zimun. What does Zimun mean? Azmune ledin. We'll say what it means is a hazmana to Beis Din. That summoning someone to Beis Din has to be done through the 3 dayanim. Well, so this is in accordance with what Rava said. So the Gemara says, Rava, Hani beit lasa daimi, the yasva va'azil shlicha de beidina. We'll say if 3 dayanim were sitting in session in Beis Din, and they sent the shaliach Beis Din to summon someone to din. Va'amar mipuma dechat, and the shliach only summoned the litigant in the name of one of the dayanim. We'll say such a summons is ultimately meaningless. Ad Amar Mishmei Dekulhu, until the litigant is summoned in the name of all 3 dayanim. That's the Brisa means when it says that Zimun b'shlosha, to summon someone to din, it must be done in the name of all 3 dayanim. So the Gemara says, Hanimili below Yom HaDina. Now that's only true if the summons is taking place, not on a Yom HaDina. Yom HaDina means the day that Beis Din is sitting in session, which means Mondays and Thursdays, as a result of Takana says Rav Abba Yom Dedina, but it will say on a day when Beis Din is already sitting in session, less lanba. You could summon the litigant even in the name of one. So the says since Beis Din is in session, it's clear that the summons is taking place on behalf of all 3 dayanim. Fine. Tashlumi Kefir. So now the Gemara is going to go back and go through the various cases in the Mishnah. So Tashlumi Kefil. So remember again, the Mishnah said that Kefil cases, right? The Mishnah says so Kefil is double payment, which represents Knossos, penalty payments, require a Beis Din of 3. Shalach later of Nachman bar Rav Chisda of Nachman bar Yaakov. So Nachman bar Rav Chisda sends Rav Nachman bar Yaakov then. Then Rabbeinu. So Rabbi teach us Dine Knossos bekama. When it comes to Knossos, when it comes to penalty payments, what size Beis Din do you need to adjudicate those kind of cases? So the Gemara says, "My kami boile." So I don't understand what kind of question is that. Ha we learned this explicitly. B'shlosha. The Mishnah told us explicitly that Knossos, that penalty payment cases, require a Beis Din of 3. Ela yochid mumcha kami boile. Do'in din Knossos olo. Rather, what the Gemara is asking is the following. What about a Yachid Mumcha? We learned already that in certain cases, you could have an individual expert serve as the dayan for a Beis Din. Can you have a Yachid Mumcha, an individual as an expert, adjudicate on Knas cases? Amrle Tanisua. So we learned this Tashlumi Kefal, but Tashlumi Arba V'Chamisha B'Shlosha. Mishnah said of Kefal, similarly Arba V'Chamisha, the 4 and 5 time penalty payments for stealing and slaughtering animals, ultimately again has to be done with a Beis Din of 3. My shlosha, what does shlosha mean? Ilay shlosha yotos. If you want to say that it's 3 regular people, ha'amar avu da'avuch mishmei derav. Be it the father of your father said in the name of Rav. Afilu asara vehine yotos psum dinei knossos. Even if you have 10 people, but what? they are hayotos, they're regular people, in other words, they're not well versed, not the midei chachamim, it's not going to work. Ella mumchim. Rather, I will say when it says you need a basin of three means what? A basin of three mumchim, a basin of three experts. V'ka'amar shlosha. And what do you see from here? You see that even when you need three mumchim. Which also clearly tells us that what? That a yochid mumcha, an individual who is an expert, cannot adjudicate cases of knesset. And I will say that is indeed halacha l'maisa. That as much as a yochid mumcha, an individual who is an expert, can adjudicate dinei mamanis, regular monetary law, when it comes to knasos, penalty payments, you cannot use a yochid mumcha. In fact, again, you need a basin of three, and you need those three to be shlosha mumchim. You need them to be three experts in and of themselves. Fine. The Chum Motzi Shemra of Esrim Arba. So also remember again, the Chum said Motzi Shemra. Right? Remember, Motzi Shemra is the case where a man marries a woman and then claims that she was not a besula. So we have a machlokes and the Mishnah how large a basin for Motzi Shemra has to be. The Chachamim said 23, and we're going to see the other opinion in the Mishnah. Other opinion in the Mishnah said 3. 3. So the Gemara says the final boss. So the Gemara says like this. Now remember, the reason that Chachamim require 23 is why? Because Motzi Shemra has the ability to turn into a dinei nefashos case. Why? Because when a man goes in and claims that the woman that he married was not a besula, it's possible that she had relations with another man after Irisin, after already betrothal took place, in which case she was already a married woman, in which case it would be znus, in which case it would be a chi of nisa. So therefore the Chachamim say that every case of Motzi Shemra has to be adjudicated by a basin of 23, as is the halacha for any capital case. So says the Gemara, my hobby. Gemara says, I don't understand, but the case that the Mishnah is dealing with is not a case of dinei nefashos. In other words, the case of where the Mishnah is dealing, the case the Gemara is telling us, the case the Mishnah is dealing with is where a man comes along and says that my wife was not a besula. He's not bringing forward any edus that says that she committed any kind of adultery. He is just making a claim. I will say, now, there's one halacha over here that Rashi doesn't bring down today that's exceptionally important. When a man says that lamaisa again, that a woman was not a besula, so I'll say, so the halacha is that husband is believed to make her lose her ksuba. So this is very important to say, meaning at the end of the day, even if there's no eidos that she committed adultery, he is believed to make her lose her ksuba. Now, how much of the ksuba she loses, we'll discuss. Why is a husband automatically believed when he makes that claim? So said the assumption is, Yefton says in the Gemara's model, who used to pay for a wedding? So the husband used to pay for the wedding. So this goes back probably to the motif that's expressed in Maseches Sota, where the Gemara discusses the idea that the normative order of events is that a man gets a parnasa, then builds a home, and then gets married. So as such again, so a husband was often paying for the wedding. So Chazal felt all of this money paying for a wedding, he's not going to lie about his wife being a basula or not being a basula. He just spent all of this money on this wedding. So as such, again, he's believed. So says the Gemara, we're talking about over here a case where there's only a financial ramification. There's no dinei nefashos ramification. So why is there need for a basin of 23? Amar Ula, b'choshishin lalas kamiflagi. So this is what I said. The question is, at the end of the day, when this testimony is given in Beis Din, are we choshesh that maybe as a result of this testimony, what's going to happen? Witnesses may come forward. That's choshishin lalaz. That are we choshesh that maybe once the ball gets rolling, witnesses that she did commit adultery will in fact come out of the woodwork. Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Rabbi Meir says we're not choshesh, and therefore you only need a basin of 3. But Rabbanan Sarvi choshesh lalaz. The Rabbanan say no. Maybe once the husband makes his statement, witnesses will come out that said she committed adultery, and therefore you need a basin of 23. Rava Amarava says no. Kuli amal lalaz lo chashinan. We are not concerned that once the husband gives his statement, that witnesses about adultery are going to come out. Rather, the Gemara says, "V'hacha b'choshishin l'chvodan shal rishonan kamiflagi." Here, the machlokes is, are we choshish for the covet of the original Beis Din? We'll say, what does that mean? I'm asking, here's the case. For example, again, the original Beis Din that was convened was a base of 23, because Beis Din thought, the husband claimed those, that his wife had committed adultery. So they convened the Beis Din of 23. V'ibdor, and what happens? It turns out that Lamaisa, again, the husband never had any proof. And what happens? The Beis Din therefore again split up. V'amr lahu dainu li miha dinei mamanis. And the husband says, well, look, even though I don't have a claim for dinei nefashos, at least go ahead and convene a Beis Din for dinei mamanis to make her lose the ksuva. So the Gemara says, the shaila Rabosai becomes, do we go ahead and therefore reconvene that original 23, or do we go ahead and just reconvene another Beis Din of 3? So the question is it considered to be a slight to the original Beis Din of 23 to convene now a second Beis Din? Are we choshish for the cover of the Beis Din, or do we say no, we're not choshish for the cover of the Beis Din, just convene another Beis Din of 3? So the Gemara says, Meisvei, turn the page, take a look at that Rashi, the last Rashi on the daf. He says, Va'amar, ho'il ve'enli edim, donoli nias b'shlosha daini, mamanas, la'afsida ksuva sa'idi atzmo. When he says over here, even if I don't have edim to go ahead and prove that she committed adultery, you could still convene a Beis Din to go ahead and make her lose her ksuva. So remember again, Chazal instituted that a basula should get a ksuva of 200 zuz. An amana, or anyone who's not a basula, 100 zuz. Vehem ha'eminu la'afsida apiv chazaka in adam toreach bisuda umafsida. So I say, so when a husband makes a claim that he says that she was not a basula, we believe that claim at least vis-a-vis the ksuba, because you have a chazaka that a husband is not going to work so hard to provide for a wedding meal and then go and lie about his wife being a basula. It doesn't make any kind of sense. The financial loss that he incurs is quite significant. So the Gemara, so we're going to explore that a little bit more. Rabbi Meir Sarah b'shlosha, then choshen l'kavod harishonim, v'dan nafilu b'shlosha, v'rabbanan sarvi choshen l'kavod harishonim u'bay kulu. So also Rabbi Meir holds that we're not choshish for the covenant of the original Beis Din. Therefore, we'll just reconvene a Beis Din of 3 to adjudicate the monetary claim. The Rabbanan saying, no, we are choshish for the covenant of the original Beis Din. Therefore, what? We'll use the original 23 who were originally convened for dinei nefashos, and we'll use them now for dinei mamanis. Fine, I'm a base. Mace says, someone raises the kasha. The Gemara raises the kasha. The Chum say, Tibo mamon b'shlosha, Tibo nefashos be'esu m'shlosha. So the Chachamim said, I don't understand. If there's a monetary claim, so go ahead and use a Beis Din of 3. If there is a dinei nefashos claim, then ultimately adjudicate that with a Beis Din of 23. The Rabbi says, so watch this. So the Gemara says, Bishlama l'Rava, Tava mamon tchila b'shlosha, Tava nefashos tchila, afilu mamon be'esu m'shlosha. So we'll say, so according to Rava, this makes sense. Because the way to understand this price would be the following. If originally the claim was just for money, then we would simply convene a Beis Din of 3. If, however, the claim was for what? Was originally for nefashos, was originally ultimately, again, regarding a capital claim, then even if it turned out that the Beis Din was not going to adjudicate was not going to adjudicate the capital claim, once l'maisa what? That Beis Din was already convened, we'll use that same Beis Din of 23 to adjudicate what? The monetary claim. So you both say, according to Rava, the fundamental shaila is, if you convene a Beis Din to adjudicate a capital case, and then it turns out there's no capital case, but there's only a monetary claim, do you, so remember, for a capital case, how large is your Beis Din? 23. So once I said the shaila is, if you've already convened that 23-person Beis Din, do you have to use that same Beis Din for the monetary claim or not? Rava says, Right, Mary says no, because he holds in choshishin lichvot Beis Din. It's not considered a slight to the Beis Din if you dissolve that 23 Beis Din, person Beis Din, and just go ahead and convene a Beis Din of 3 for the dinei mamanis. The Rabbanan say no, there is a slight to the covenant of Beis Din. So according to Rava, Rabbi say this price makes sense. According to Rava, the price is teaching me that if you originally had a monetary claim, you convene a Beis Din of 3. If lamaisa, again what? If, however, you convene the Beis Din for a capital claim, you convene the Beis Din of 23, then it turns out that what? There was no capital claim. There's only a financial claim. The Rabbanan, the Chachamim will say, you use that same Beis Din of 23 to adjudicate the monetary claim. Why? Because Chosheshim Chvod Beis Din. Ula Kasha, according to Ula, this brisa poses a question. So the Gemara said, take a look at Rashi. It's the first and second short lines. Rabbanan lilaz chayshi. So what's according to Ula, the Rabbanan are choshesh the following: that once a man makes a monetary claim, by virtue of the fact that he's claiming that his wife is not a basula, we are choshesh for the possibility that what may happen once this is in Beis Din, that witnesses may come forward who know that she committed adultery. So according to that, Shema Yishmu, I'm reading Rashi, Shema Yishmu eitim v'avo, tibo mamon b'shlosha, liolam esimu shlosha l'rabbana, but you know, mishum l'choshin las. Yes, according to Ula, the Rabbanan, in any case of Motzi Shemra, should always require what? Should always require 23. Why? Because according to Ula's version of the Rabbanan, Shemra case can very easily become a Dine Nefashis case, even if the husband's claim is only for Mamo. Because Choshesh and Lalas, Choshesh and Lalas means that once you have a Motzi Shemra case in Beis Din, we're concerned about the possibility that Eidim will hear about this people hear about this, and Eidim will come forward that she committed adultery, in which case what began as a monetary claim morphs into a capital case. Therefore, you have to be armed with the right kind of Beis Din to adjudicate that case. If that's the case, then according to the Chachamim, according to Ula's version of the Chachamim, you should always require a Beis Din of 23 for every Motzi Shemra case. So the Gemara Rava said, Ani v'arisha b'chabura, me and the lion of the chabura. We explain in the following. By the way, who is the arisha b'chabura? Umanu Rav Chia bar Avin. So Rav Chia bar Avin. We'll say, what's the case? How do we interpret this case? Shehevi habal idim shazinsa. So watch this. This is the cases with the following. The husband brought witnesses that indeed the wife had committed adultery. Vehevi ha'av edim ve'zimum le'edi habal. And what happened? The father of the girl, the father of the wife, right, came along, brought witnesses, and did hazama on the witnesses of the husband. So remember again, we'll get to Makas and Meretz Hashem, but remember Edim Zomamin. Edim Zomamin means two witnesses come forward and give testimony. Witnesses 1 and 2 give testimony. And then what happens? Witnesses 3 and 4 come along and say, you cannot have possibly know that information. Why? Because Imanu Hayisem, you're with us. Both say is where the husband went ahead and brought forward witnesses who said the wife committed adultery. The father then came along and went ahead and brought witnesses who were mazim, ultimately who went ahead and did hazama on the witnesses of the husband. So also listen to this. Now remember, the Torah says that if it turns out that a husband is motzi shemar, like claiming that she was not a basula, and then it turns out that's what? That the husband was lying. So the husband has to pay 100 shekel, 100 mana to the father of his wife, to his father-in-law. So the Gemara says like this. So also you have now Rava and Rabbi Chia bar Avin saying the case of Bryce means the Bryce is talking about a case where the father is coming to collect the money from the husband, bishlosha. I will say that could be done through a Beis Din of 3 because that's a clear what? That's a clear case of Dinei Mamanis. There's no possibility of nefashas in that case. But indeed, if there was a potential capital case, then Lamaisa that would be adjudicated through a case of 23. Fine. Abai says no. Everyone agrees that's what? That whenever you have a Motzi Shemra case, we have to be concerned with the possibility that what I was saying, that it's going to quickly descend into a capital case, even if what? Even if the original claim of the husband is only for money. We'll say, so what Abai is saying is, everyone agrees. If you say Choshesh in Lalazar, then what size Beis Din do you need for every single Motzi Shemra case? 23, right? Because remember, Choshesh in Lalaz means that even if the husband's claim is that I don't owe my wife a ksuva because she wasn't a basula, and I'm not claiming any dinei nefashos. But Choshesh in Lalaz means that once this gets rolling in Beis Din, we are Choshesh to the possibility that Eidim will hear about this, come forward with information that she committed adultery. Therefore, every single Beis Din for Motzi Shemra has to be equipped to deal with a possible capital case. Therefore, it needs to be 23. Umishum kvod and sharishonim. Ultimately, again, Choshesh for the covenant of the Beis Din as well. So what's the case here? How do we understand the Braisa? Kigon the asru bastam. We'll say the case over here is where the witnesses claim that the woman received hasra. So if witnesses that she committed adultery, and she received hasra, but she received what's called hasra stam. We'll say typical, or I should say paradigmatic hasra, is witnesses see a particular individual about to commit navera. So what does hasra mean? That in order to be chayiv, any type of misa in Beis Din, you have to be warned. You have to be warned. Now, under normal circumstances, what is that warning comprised of? That warning is comprised of the act that you are about to do is prohibited, and the punishment is X. Punishment is X, meaning the punishment that you are to receive for that act is explicitly articulated. In this case over here, the witness is told the woman, adultery is usher, and the punishment for adultery is death. But they didn't tell her which type of misa is based in. The high tanahu, and I will say this price reflects the following tana. This sanya, arko chayvim miso shebatorah, ein mamisin osam, ela be'ita ve'idin v'hasra. So also when it comes to chayvim miso shebatorah, where individuals ultimately again are chayiv misa. So ultimately again, there are in misin osa ela be'ida. So Rashi defines over here Eida as chav gimel. So chav gimel means that a death sentence can only be handed down through a basin of 23. Ve'edim v'hasra, and of course you require ultimately again hasra as well. Ba'ad shiyodiuhu shehu chayiv misa bebezdin. And ultimately, again, you have to tell the person, meaning the violator, that they're going to be chayiv misa bezdin. Yehuda Omer, ad shiyodiuhu be'eza misa hu neharag. And Rabbi Yehuda says, not only do you have to tell them what they're supposed to say, not only do you have to tell them that they're going to be executed by what, you have to tell the person which type of misa they're going to be chayiv. So therefore, Rabbi said, the Gemara says, the Rabbanon will hold that a hasra koldu, right? Any type of hasra is going to be enough. Whereas Rabbi Meir holds ultimately again, like Rabbi Yehuda, that you require ultimately again a specific hasra. Therefore, if the case is where the woman did not receive a specific hasra, therefore according to Rabbi Meir, all you need is a basin of what? Of 3. Because since women never received a specific hasra, therefore there's no chiyuv misa. If there's no chiyuv misa, the most that the husband could sue for is what? Mammon. Mammon only requires a basin of 3. According to the Rabbanon, they hold that even non-specific hasra ultimately is enough to cause a death penalty. Therefore, in this case, you have to convene a basin of 20. We'll just do one more line and we'll stop. Rapapa Amar Hacha Be'isha Chaveira Askinon. Rapapa, so what are we dealing with over here? We're dealing with over here a woman who is a Talmid Chacham, Chaveira, a Talmid Chacham. Kamiflagi, we put it Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbanon. The Sanya, Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda Omer, Chaver in Tzarech Hasra. Rabbi Yossi Yehuda says that a Chaver will say Talmid Chacham does not require Hasra. Why does a Talmid Chacham not require Hasra? Ultimately, again, because it was a Hasra was why does Halacha require Hasra? Only to make sure that someone is not a shogeg. When you get hasra, it's good that you know exactly what you're doing. So therefore, again, I will say ultimately, Rabbi Yehuda holds, or Rabbi Yehuda holds, someone who is a Talmid Chacham does not require, or someone who's well versed in halacha does not require hasra. Therefore, I will say Rabbi Yehuda says over here that according to Rabbi Meir, the Rabbanon will hold of Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, and if we're dealing with the Isha Chabeira, make sure she knows the halachas. She knows the halachas. Therefore, even if she does not receive hasra, she can be chayiv for adultery. Therefore, again, you'll have to use a basin of 23. Whereas Rabbi Meir holds that no, everyone requires a hasra, even someone who's a Talmid Chacham. And therefore, in case there's no hasra, there's no misa. At most, you have a din of mammon. And therefore, what? At most, you require a basin of 3. So we'll stop over here for today. We're leaving off in the midst of this machlok Kislut and Amir and the Chachamim. Namely, again, we have Chacham telling me that for Motzi Shemra, I need a basin of 23. We have Rabbanan telling me I need a basin of 23. I have Rabbi Meir telling me I need a basin of 3. And we're trying to figure out what exactly is at the root of their machlokas. We continue tomorrow.